Well, hello friends. Welcome back to another episode of Decorate With Me. I'm Alessandra, and today we are doing a mega Bridgerton inspired wedding. Let me tell you what's going on. So season 1, the Duchess obviously married the Duke. There was a wedding. It was pretty cool, but it was a small wedding, and at the time I didn't do mood boards for it. Now we have an almost wedding with Edwina and Anthony, which technically didn't happen, but the Queen went all out on it. So, interestingly enough, both of those weddings were in the same church and very similarly themed. So I thought, why not take the best of both, get all the inspiration together, and make one big mega wedding? Now, this is not entirely rented, but it's also not entirely DIY. It's pretty close. And it's definitely on the higher end of the mood boards that I've made for this series so far. But I'm happy to help make recommendations if you need alternative options. But everything is always linked down below, so by section. And also, because I know this is going to be a mega wedding, make sure you use the chapters along the time bar here at the bottom of the screen to jump ahead to whatever section you're most interested in. Or back and forth, or whatever's easier for you. Right into the inspiration. From season 1, the church was pretty simple, even though it was a Duke and Duchess getting married, but it was rushed, so whatever, no judgment. But white and greenery, florals, columns, urns, the usual Bridgerton scene. Again, urns, greenery, white floral, ivory floral. It's pretty much the MO for Bridgerton, and I love that. It's very classic. Now, when the Queen is getting involved with the planning, we see over-the-top, crazy, massive urns, elaborate floral, the gold living statues, which actually you can probably get locally with your local entertainment company. That's actually a very easy thing to acquire on a local level. The entrance inspiration, this is from the inside of the church, but I think this could look great inside and outside if you wanted to do like a double-sided one. Lots of layered drapes in the gold, antique gold, taupe kind of tones with prints mixing and matching in fringe and just over the top. We got to see the church that the Queen overlooked the decor for, and, a lot of greenery, which is beautifully balanced between the greenery and the white florals. Again, layered taupe kind of sheer curtains. Obviously, the Queen doesn't mess around. She's in all gold over here. Beautiful kind of classic elegance, not obnoxious. And again, there's not really an altar here, so we're going to kind of make up our own, because if you're not having it at a church, you're going to need something. So I'm going to help work you through that. And at the end of the day, our inspiration is going to be white, green, and gold, which isn't completely unheard of for a Bridgerton mood board, especially by me, because it's a theme that they use a lot. But what we're going to focus on here is not doing the obvious go-to white and gold that you can Google right now and see 1.5 million different white and gold kind of modern furniture with like super clean lines and stuff. I wanted to feel a little bit more old school, a little bit more traditional European vibes. And so will everything be matchy-matchy? No, but it's not really supposed to be, especially in this era. And not that we're doing it 100% authentic, but I just wanted to look a little bit more regal. That's all. Everything doesn't have to be super clean modern lines. So we are going to make a grand wedding in white, green, gold with pops of crystal here and there. I'm so excited. Let's get straight into it. Now, as we start off the wedding here, we're going to be looking at the entrance to the church. Now, this could be the literal entrance into the church or the altar or wherever you're having the service, the ceremony, or equally, it could be the view from within that location, or both. So it's kind of a make your entrance, make your exit situation. But what I love are these kind of dark, almost antique gold printed curtains that already technically have a valance built into them. But I really wanted to have the play on the colors and textures like we see here, which is why we have a slightly brighter gold but similar printed window valance that we're going to create over this. Now, if you're doing this yourself, you're going to probably need a pipe and base kit. Equally, you could just kind of point your, your event decor vendor, whoever's doing your draping for you, along these lines, and they'll know how to recreate something like this for you. Now, to keep it even extra luxe looking, because let's be honest, that's where we're at with this, I thought it would be nice to extend out that same curtain that we had swag back and just add maybe a 6 foot or 3 foot, somewhere between there, edging on either side to make it look a little bit wider, a little bit more grand. And then I think we're getting closer, but given that this is a mega Bridgerton wedding, I would be remiss without adding anything in floral wise or column wise. So we have our tried and true urn that I've used several times already, and I love this combination. This is just recommendation. And then I found this smaller urn that is similar but different, and I thought layering the two of them together is going to be super beautiful and make for a pretty great entrance or exit or both. Alright, so what do we need for our wedding to get started? Well, we need some sort of ceremonial location, and since I don't know where you're having this party, in my mind, I'm thinking a ballroom somewhere really pretty is most likely the case for a big grand event like this. So I like the idea of either doing a room wrap in nice, looks great, like drapery or curtains, whatever you want to call it, or at least a big focal wall. So that's why I'm starting with this green to kind of be our symbolic background. Now I found this super cool backdrop, which granted when I tried to do the remove backdrop, I lost some of the quality on here, but I found this great picture of the close-up of the laser work on it, and I just thought this is really pretty. And of course, adding some urns and some pillars and all that good stuff, and voila, we have a beautiful backdrop for a couple to get married in, or maybe even vow renewals. I don't know. It's going to be gorgeous no matter what. So let's get into the bar and then cocktail hour. Now, a wedding this size is almost certainly going to have a cocktail hour, because if you're spending all this money on decor, even if you're doing it yourself, there's a good chance you're going to be spending on that extra hour of just married shots with the photographer, and a lot of families do this anyways. So if you don't know, that hour after the wedding happens, before the actual reception happens, that cocktail hour, usually the bride and the groom are getting hydrated, getting a snack, and then getting lots of pictures, and then the pictures with the immediate family and all that stuff's happening. Meanwhile, you as the guests get to be enjoying cocktails and snacks and the bar. So I thought keeping that same green drape going, because there's a good chance you're going to be in a ballroom. Maybe you like the wallpaper, but maybe you don't. So we're going to keep the green drape in throughout just for cohesiveness sake. Now this bar is a rental bar from White Door Events, and the company that I used to work for that did event decor used them a lot, and they've got a really cool collection of just really fun pieces. So make sure you check out their links. They're down below. I used a lot of their furniture for this because it's just really fun and unique. So check them out and definitely give them a call. They're nice people. But continuing on, white fluffy trees, and well, there's technically not trees in the actual weddings. I think they kind of create that same kind of voluminous urn shape that we see back here without somebody having to actually create that. We just want a big fluffy floral moment, and so that's what we're doing here. And then styled a little bit with some candles and a little photo frame where you're going to put your specialty bar menu in there, and a little candelabra off to the side. It's going to look really, really cute for your guests. Now, using a little bit more White Doors furniture, it looks a little weird right now, and I'll give you that. But I thought, okay, we have some columns, we're going to have some urns, but I want to keep gold and green and white at the focus. So White Door actually had, this is all of their furniture. And then I paired it with this rug because I thought it was kind of fun. And of course, my go-to urns. But really what we're doing here is we're trying to create kind of a cozy lounge area where guests can get comfortable without feeling like it's super formal or it's super modern and almost without personality. So there's a lot of personality going on here, especially as we style things like these specialty pillows with the fringe and the printed patterns and the, like, I don't know if you can tell, these are beaded, hand beaded pillows, which are gorgeous in gold and white, and they just help add personality and texture. And we got beautiful glass, it's an amber glass candlestick. I mean, just nice little touches like that. So then what happens is when you put it all together, with the bar and everything, you could have a really fun cocktail hour where you could have people over here having larger group conversations. You could have some people on these little benches talking to the people here on the ottoman, but equally you could have people standing over here using the tables to put their drinks down, check their phones in between. You know, this is a very versatile lounge without being super huge or super matchy, and I kind of like that. It's different, and it shows a little personality, I think. What we're doing here is we're taking this fantastic white arch, a find from Shop Wild Things. It's white, but I love that there's metal scroll work kind of already worked into it, which I think is very appropriate for the Bridgerton theme. And of course, pairing it with our urns that are taller and our smaller urns. But then we're also using some of their floral wall panels, which is what we see here, this element, which come in rectangular shapes, depending on which kind you get. You can wrap that around the scroll work or the frame essentially, and then adorn it with things like this boxwood vine, like I did here, and some of the beautiful floral, like the wisteria that's draping, or some of the roses. You can make a whole little arrangement here. Obviously, I'm just working with random photos that I got off the internet, so like bear with me here. But you can make a nice little kind of offsetting floral moment, so you have a little bit down here, a little bit over here. We want everything to be balanced. I always try to hide my hardware whenever possible, so if you were going to stop here, you totally could. I would just recommend putting some sort of carpeting or floral or something around the bottom. But I mean, this is a grand wedding, so I can't just stop here. And I found this little love seat for one of our other design boards. I don't remember which one it is, but I bookmarked it because I loved it. And it's just such a perfect little love seat for a Bridgerton themed party. And I thought, this is adorable. I love this being kind of like framing the love seat with the big arch. And I thought this would be actually really fun if you were doing a station where the bride and the groom maybe were sitting down, but they wanted to get pictures with friends, and that way the friends or family, whoever, could stand behind them and like have that kind of regal pose that you see in portraits, where there's like always one person sitting and one person standing behind them, and it's usually like a husband-wife thing, but I feel like we could kind of do something along those lines. All right, time to jump into the tablescapes. Now technically we're looking at the church scene with the altar and all the florals, but I really wanted to show you guys again these really odd, I don't even know what they are. They're arrangements. They're not really trees. They're kind of vines. I don't know, but I dig it. I'm into it. I like the weird shape. And I thought we could recreate somewhat of that shape with a floral riser like this. This one's from Shop Wild Things. Again, links are down below, but I just want to show you, like, we could probably make this on one of these stands. Now, when I remove the backdrop from the stand, it's a little harder to see, so just bear with me, but I wanted to show you what it looked like, you know, before I mess with it. And then this is going to be an interesting little moment here for us, because we're going to turn all of these florals, we've got some peonies, some white hydrangeas, some carob leaves, just some greenery leaves, some willow, into something like this. Boop. Now, through the magic of time and internet editing, I've created this kind of shape. I realize it looks kind of like a fan a little bit, but I think you could easily make it more mounded at the top, you know, some more spherical shape. But I just kind of liked that it got narrower, because when you're sitting at a table where you have a tall centerpiece, having something more narrow where your line of sight is going to be, or, you know, and that means like if I'm sitting across the table from you at a round table of, let's say, 8 people, I want to be able to see you. And so having an as minimal obstruction of viewing is ideal. So long story short, we try to make the base as narrow as possible. So that's kind of how we ended up with this shape. But your local florist or designer, I'm sure, will make lots of recommendations. I did find some on Cloth Connection, another company that's great to rent from. They'll ship them to you. They have a lot of unique stuff like this. It's almost kind of a quilted floral, so it's textured, but it's got this nice poofiness to it without being crazy ruffled like some of the actual petal tablecloths. And then this is also a gold damask napkin from them. And then actually, to continue on the fact that this is probably more of an over-the-top, you're bringing in vendors and help, I started bringing in things for the lounge from White Door Events, and this is a continuation of that. This is one of their chairs that they offer in their collection, and I liked it because it was a nice armchair. It's a little bit more formal, but it was white and gold without being too modern, and it was just fun. So with a little bit of styling, an overlay from Cloth Connection, which is got some petals, got some detail, and it's a nice white ivory gold combo with it's sheer, so whatever you put underneath it, we'll definitely see. Partnered with a little bit more gold, a nice gold. I believe these are resin chargers with some filigree on the edges, a little bit more of a blingy emerald and gold napkin ring, and then I love these glass candlesticks. They are pretty simple in the sense that they're not super tall or flashy or anything. I just really like that they're glass and they have a lot of facets, and I think they just catch the light brilliantly. And I think they could be a really cool way to incorporate light and candlelight into something like this, because a votive would be too short. You would be going from like something really, really tiny to something super, super tall. So using these candlesticks, which are lower candlesticks to begin with, and then using shorter LED taper candles, don't forget to get the ones with the remote, makes a big difference. That will help, one, prevent fires, and two, help kind of bridge the gap between the super tall centerpiece and the super low fire. So that's one tablescape. We'll call this our tall tablescape. Yeah, that sounds right. And then you know me, I love a good fold-up tablescape. I love a good table arch. So if you weren't going to go crazy fancy with bringing in specialty, I don't know, tables and chairs and all that stuff, you could get a rectangular table. Definitely make sure you check out the ones you're getting, because the depth of those makes a big difference when you're designing. But there's new products like this one from Shop Wild Things, which is an adjustable base, or just, well, I guess the whole thing's adjustable, but you can adjust how wide it goes, and it clamps onto the end of your table, which is perfect if you're doing a nice arch centerpiece for a fold-up table or a pop-up table, whatever you want to call them. Now, as cool as these are not meant to be supporting tons and tons of weight. So this is going to be something you're going to put silks and maybe a little bit of string lining or something easy and light on it. Something like this. Now, this is a linen that I found on Etsy, and this is the picture that the listing included in it, and of course the links are down below. But I just thought this is a kind of the vibe that I'm going for, and I mean, obviously we would scale it up depending on the type of event you're having here, but in my mind I would like to see a table that could seat like maybe 6 people or maybe 8 people, depending on the dimensions and whatnot. But using this gold tablescape, or the gold linen, I suppose, to start the tablescape, it's a gold damask, but it's kind of got like this diamond print in it, which I noticed is extra large here, and I love that. So we're going to incorporate things like this little floral riser that has little dangling crystals. This is one that I've used before, but I think these are just a little bit too tall, the ones that they had pictured, for us to have our garland across the top. So you can see that we put the pole on here, and I just did some, again, internet magic and made it fit all the way across. And then we have a nice carob leaf, same one as before, some vines like that twisting around it, so keeping the weight light, and then mixing in just a few heads of peonies and hydrangea, both in a nice bright white. And again, this way we can get our white, green, and gold without any one thing being too much. We can continue having some white floral like we see here, but in white, with these little ready to go balls that are available, and they have peonies, roses, and hydrangea all mixed together, so it's got a lot of nice texture to play off of. Cleaning things up a little bit, we're going to get into things like the charger. So this is a clear charger. These are almost always one of the go-to chargers that most rental companies stock, because it's so universal, because it's clear and it's got gold beads around the edges. So very, very universal. And I thought that would be a nice play on the crystals that we see oh, excuse me, hanging from this little centerpiece riser. Now, you don't have to have floral on it. You could put little cupcakes or something and preset some desserts on the table. That would be fun. It's up to you. Now, I paired this with a emerald green satin Lemoire napkin with just a simple napkin ring. And then I love the idea of the frosted kind of white glass as a votive, because it's going to come off as amber, but then it's also kind of milky, if that makes sense. So it's just fun, and it's kind of referencing the diamond shape that we see in the print. I don't know, I like where I was going with it. I try not to overthink things too much. So we end up coming up with something like this. Super fun and pretty, and very, very easy to set up. Like, this is probably the easiest one to set up of this whole bunch, because these are all, like, you literally take these out of the box and you pop them on the table. These are already made and ready to go. This stuff just clamps onto the table, the arch, and then you just wrap some garland in and wire in some floral heads, if that, and boom, you're done. It's so easy. All right, now this doesn't look like much, and it's not yet, but this is actually going to be potentially one of the more affordable tablescapes of this bunch. And let me explain to you why. A basic round table, whether it's a 128 or a 132 inch round table, you can get ivory or white linen in polyester or satin Lemoire like this. Whether you're buying it or renting it, those are going to be very, very affordable and accessible. Now, if you wanted to put this type of linen on every one of the tables, that could add up quickly. So when I saw that the same lady who made this tablecloth has this gorgeous runner, I thought this is a great, more budget-friendly option that still looks super fabulous. And so you get that pop of print and that elegant vibe with the fringe without having to cover the whole table, and by extension spending the money on all of that. And more importantly, this is a Bridgerton themed wedding, so what do we have the most of in Bridgerton is candlelight, because there's not really electricity, so there's candles everywhere all the time. It's amazing things didn't burn down more often. So here's what I'm thinking. Combine all the candles together on the table in the center of the table, mixing together the different heights and everything. And if you were getting the LED candles, which I totally recommend that you do just for fire safety purposes, definitely get some with a remote. But I would recommend just doing all, like, maybe stark white like you see here, just for consistency. So it's a little crazy on the bottom, stable on the top, if that makes sense. Now, this works great for the round tables, and I just wanted to show you, you could take the same elements and put it on an estate table or rectangle table, whatever you want to call it, a pop-up table, and you could create essentially like a candle river, and do that down the middle, so kind of like a runner made out of candles. And this is my preferred way. Like, I love these on tables. I mean, it's been done a million times before, but every time you redo it with something other than like the dollar store glass cylinders, it just looks so cool, because I don't know what it is about humans, but we love fire. So instead of putting a runner on it like we had here, and this variation, I got an ivory sequin tablecloth, which I wasn't going to use sequins for this, but the ivory is just sparkly enough without being obnoxious. And that way you can use an ivory satin napkin on here. It'll go perfect. And then our charger napkin ring can continue on beautifully. All right, so that concludes the tablescapes, but we're not done. This is one of those, but wait, there's more. So if you need to pause and get a drink, no judgment. I do too. So what party or wedding wouldn't be complete without some sort of cake table, dessert buffet, something along those lines? Well, here we're taking the same fluffy trees that we used way earlier in the design boards, and we are using the extra full trees here to kind of frame our dessert table. Now, I'm using a gold rosette tablecloth. I love these. I obviously own one. I've used it several times in my videos, but quick insider tip, these types of tablecloths that are textured like this, they might not wash really well, I'll give you that. But if you were just using it for buffets, these hide dirt and stains while the party's happening so much better than if you had just a pure white or ivory tablecloth down, because that's going to show every crumb, every stain, everything. This seems to absorb it, and it's so busy that it's delightful and productive at the same time. So just a little tidbit. Now, Shop Oil Things also has these letters that say love, and it's that same kind of laser cut detailing, so it doesn't look great on here just yet, but bear with me. It's similar to what we did for the wedding altar. Now, I thought these would be fun to flank near the table instead of the marquee letters, which don't really go with this design concept. These are a little bit more elegant and they're lightweight. So if we combine those with some of the same risers from earlier with a little bit of floral happening, I've used this riser several times, I think, so far in this series because I just love it. It's gold, it's not too high, it has an obnoxious amount of crystal on it, so it's all kind of sparkly together. And then we have a nice glass riser with a bead trim similar to our chargers. And by the way, if you wanted to be more matchy-matchy, they do often have chargers that are clear glass with clear bead trims on it. It's very common as well, so if you wanted to go that matchy-matchy, you could, but just putting it out there as an option. So once we style everything, get it in a nice environment, a nice room, it could look something like this potentially. Super great, really. One of my favorite cake tables, I think, so far. And very, very DIY friendly, if you were so inclined. All right, friends, let's run through this grand wedding from the top, starting with our entrance. It's luxe. There's lots of expensive drapery. There's valances. There's fringe. There's tassels. It's everything we need a grand entrance to be. The wedding altar is perfect. It's not going to take away from the happy couple special moment, but it's still going to be impactful and look great in photos. Cocktail hour is going to kick off in a bar like this, and the guests are going to love sitting next to these elaborate and extra full dogwood trees while getting served in a beautiful white and gold bar. The lounge is going to be a little eclectic, but traditional and European in its styling, but it's going to be able to accommodate a lot of people. So during the cocktail hour, the lounge is going to be a super fun place. And then after dinner, once everybody's dancing and taking some time away from their tables, the lounge is going to be a super fun spot that can accommodate a lot of guests. And speaking of accommodating a lot of guests, our photo area is tiered so that way we can have a group of people sit in the front and then people stand in back near behind the sofa under the arch, and that way we can get a lot more people in one shot to capture these happy moments. Our tablescapes range from a tall tablescape with lots of foliage and florals to an estate table with a simple table arch. We also have a round table with lots of candlelight and elegant fabric runners, but then it wouldn't be complete without including an actual candle river full of glorious light in gold and green candlesticks, because, I mean, why not at this point? Why not? And we round out the night with a beautiful cake table, perfect to spread all of the delicious, delicate pastries and sweets galore at a wedding. And why not do with some style? So if you enjoyed this, I have more ideas on how you can decorate your next event for a Bridgerton themed birthday party, soiree, wedding, shower, any million other things in between. Not to mention I have like a crazy long list of Bridgerton inspired mood boards just like these. So I'll link to that playlist for you and you can check it out. Make sure you subscribe because I'm working my way through season 2. And we're covering all of the parties, soirees, and balls that we see and trying to turn them into modern day DIY friendly events. So if you're into that, make sure you subscribe because you are not going to want to miss all the fun things that I have coming out soon. All right, friends, my name's Alessandra. If you made it this far, thank you. I had a great time making this. This was way over the top, but I mean, that's kind of what I live for. So I hope you enjoyed this. Share with a friend that you think might like something like this for their next wedding or vow renewal or just Tuesdays. All right, bye friends.